Hi, my name is Milani Douglas, and we are in another episode of Fresh Take. This one's going to be a little bit different because I'm usually doing the interviewing, but for Reclamation, I have invited George Sissel to interview me related to the project and as a curator and an artist. And George will introduce himself, and then we can jump right into the questions.
Great. Thank you, Melanie. It's great to be invited to do this with the National Museum of Women in the Arts. I'm very excited and for the invitation today. So my name is George Sissel, and curator and residence emeritus from Maryland Institute College of Art in Baltimore. And I guess in terms of my interest, certainly, in both education and in curatorial work, my questions really are going to revolve around those two areas.
I'm questioning what they can be, where they can be, who gets to contribute to them, and then also reimagining, reimagining the collective experience of how we come to an exhibition. So, and there's a lot of work that's been done, in that space in socially engaged art. But for me, it's like, how do I anchor the art exhibition in spaces that are common to us all? Spaces that we all have at least some relationship with it, whether it's fraught or not. So the kitchen table, it may be a fraught relationship, but you have a relationship with it. You washing your clothes or having to cleanse yourself. You have, this is all accessible. And so how do you bring something inaccessible, or something that's viewed as accessible, but and put it in places and anchor it in places that we all can relate to? Well, I definitely moved away from having all fine artists, what we consider as a fine artist. So we have, two dancers, two performance artists, we have two chefs. And originally I wasn't going to include any chefs because I didn't want to try to make the space accessible and then make it inaccessible by having like professional chefs, come into the space. We have, two socially engaged artists. Everyone's coming from a very different background. And then also I'm asking them to step outside of what they would normally consider as their art. So everyone is put into the same framework of kind of 25 prompts to get them to take pictures or videos of, like, at the kitchen table, preparing your ingredients. And I'm asking them to focus on the art of their own self-care, the art of how they care for themselves and prepare their own food. So even these artists who do have a fine art, a lot of them have been in museums and galleries, I'm still saying, no, that's not the art I'm asking for. I'm asking you for the art that takes care of the artist, that makes the art possible. So what are you doing, or what's the recipe, or how are you preparing something? What are your rituals around the kitchen table that you can share? And then also, how do you view this space as your gallery? And also the kitchen table and whatever you're using as your medium and your canvas that you're working with. Make this your material.
I think that one of the things that struck me was looking at the 9 artists and their practices and what they're working on for Reclamation, that the fact that all were interdisciplinary artists, that you, in the typical format of an exhibit, of 9 artists, maybe 1 or 2 may have multiple practices, right? But the fact that none of them can be identified as a painter or a sculptor or strictly a socially engaged artist or a musician, right? Or as you say, a chef, that they all have these interlaps in terms of their own practices and their visions as they see themselves as artists. So for me, that was really the distinguishing factor of the 9 artists.
Working inside the Women Art and Social Change Initiative and having programs like the Fresh Talk, and having things like our cultural capital events where we had partnerships, it provided like the perfect foundation to build on it and expand on how we're including the community and how we're making sure that we're a part of a community and serving them and doing more than just and making sure that it's not just lip service, that it's not okay, so we have a community partnership. We have a partnership and we're actively redefining what we do through those partnerships. So, for example, one of our Curative Collective members had brought up, they said, well, the history of Black people with providing recipes is that these recipes have been turned into a commercial product. And so there's some, people are reluctant to put their family recipes. And so by having that information, that changed an element of the exhibition. And that made us say, okay, well, we can add food memories to it. But that's the same way that we're working when we're doing a Fresh Talk. We take the feedback from our audience and it changes the way that we do things. When our audience said, well, we want to participate more, we created a forum for them to participate more in it. And having that kind of relationship with the audience and programs like Women, Art, and Social Change, it definitely makes the museum sustainable. And it also opens it up to growth that can be long-term. And you can also grow with the community that's around you. The importance of the Curative Collective and having partners that can expand your capacity with an exhibition is that it really allows the museum to work differently with the community and also for art to be sustainable and relevant. So a lot of times what happens, like you spoke about, is that there's an exhibition, it goes up, and then outside of the art academy or outside of like studying it, it doesn't always have relevance to the social community around it, unless it's anchored in a social issue. So by having the Curative Collective and these organizations that are working at the intersection of art and social justice and food, and us having things like a pantry, having different resources, a searchable tool, something that makes it easy for them to talk about food that they're introducing and also creates dialogue around food, it creates an outcome or an exhibition that's actually relevant to the community that we serve, and then also it highlights how important and relevant these organizations are to our mission as well, because we understand the power of art, but we also know that the capacity of a museum may say, okay, well, this is how much we can do. But through partnerships, you can say, well, I can introduce the issue, I can provide platform for the issue, and here are people that are professionals at working at expanding how we're able to show up with this issue.